Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and in this video we are reacting to Cade Cunningham and Jalen Suggs are in big trouble. And Cade Cunningham was the number one pick in the draft. I think he could be compared to Paul George. And just a really good player. Why am I getting all these pop-ups on my computer? I don't know. And then Jalen Suggs played for Gonzaga. I think he was the 5th pick in the draft. And, they're both really good players. But we're going to find out why Matt B. Great thinks that these two guys are in trouble. So let's check it out.
Cade Cunningham and Jalen Suggs, two of the top picks in the most recent NBA draft, are now in big trouble. In college for his team, Oklahoma State, Cade was one of the best players and arguably one of the best players in the entire conference. And his entire basketball career, he's been looked at as a generational talent and one of the best players in the country. On the other hand, for Jalen Suggs, his story is a little different. He's always been regarded as this top basketball prospect, but not quite as high as Cunningham. There's still a gap, but I think we can all agree that Suggs kind of closed it a little last year because of how good he was in March Madness. Some people, including myself, would say Suggs got a little too overhyped because of how well he played in the tournament, but it is what it is. I still think Jalen is going to be a really nice NBA prospect, and he's going to have a good career. He did go a little too high in my eyes, but you can't fault the pick. Anywhere in the lottery besides the top 3, it's hard to argue. So with the draft coming to an end, with no surprise, Cade went number 1 to the Pistons, and Jalen Suggs went to the Orlando Magic. We've now had a couple days to sit back, relax, and evaluate on what happened that night. How's a good way to say this or put this? Let's just say that Cade and Jalen are now in some deep waters and some deep stuff. To say they're in trouble may just be an understatement. There's probably not a word for this. Honestly, I think it's worse for Suggs, so let's start out with his situation first. I don't want to sugarcoat things. The Orlando Magic, they've sucked, and they've sucked for years. In the past 8 years, they've only had one winning season, and they was only 42-40, so they barely was above 500, and that was 3 years ago. And only 2 years ago, the season 19 through 20, they went 30.
Okay. I think if you're gonna use this reason for why the situation isn't good, this is to be expected. The teams that don't do well in the regular season normally have the high picks. That's just kind of how the draft lottery works. That's just kind of how things go. But
and then last year, it went downhill fast. They went 21 and 51. If you don't want to say they suck, that's fine. It's debatable. But we can all agree that they're not very good. Their biggest problem,
that's to be expected.
Continue to be their biggest problem, at least in my eyes, is they have good and great young guards, but they don't have too many power forwards and centers. And even though they have those great and young guards, they don't have a star player. And you got to have at least 1 or 2 to even compete nowadays. They do have Aaron Gordon, but he's not a star and superstar player like some people thought he'd pan out to be. And they do have Wendell Carter Jr., who is young, but he's not in his prime just yet. I think their best player, without a doubt, is probably Nikola Vucevic. I hope I'm saying that right. And he put up over 24 points.
Not going to lie, I almost forgot about him until he mentioned him. But
here and there, but I mean, on the overall grand scheme, nobody was paying attention because he's on a very bad team. You got to give the dude his props, though, because he shot almost 50% from the field.
He did play really well until he got traded to the Bulls.
He was carrying this team. I do know they have everybody's fan favorite in Cole Anthony. He was good last year, but he wasn't great by any means. I think he'll continue to get better, and him and Suggs, they'll be a good duo. But it all goes back to the one thing and Orlando's biggest problem. They have good/great guard play. Nobody's denying that. You had Markelle Fultz averaging 13 points per game, Anthony averaging 13 points per game, Evan Fournier averaging 20 points per game, and the list goes on. And I can't forget to mention, I almost forgot about him, but R.J. Hampton, he was averaging double figures. And
they got a lot of good guards.
Getting the guard play, and they got good.
The list of guards that he just named,
aspect of the game.
That's a lot of really good, ones.
Offensive efficiency, not so hot either. They have what a lot of good teams really need. They have a lot of good role players and the pieces to a championship team. The only thing they're missing is those 1 to 2 star players. They had roughly 8 to 9 guys in double figures last year, but when you don't have 2 great scorers, that's where it comes in to hurt you. So therefore, it leaves us with the question for Jalen Suggs. How is he in trouble and how does this hurt him? Unless he does some miraculous stunt, and he wasn't even this type of player at Gonzaga in college, I don't see him coming in and even averaging over 15 points per game. I see him around that Cole Anthony mark last year.
Which that's not a bad thing.
And he's going to have 5 assists and 5
That's
rebounds.
not a bad thing at all. You
good,
have to take into
he'll
account the situation that these players are
fine,
in, you know?
But for the Orlando Magic, that's not so good. They already got guys giving them 12 to 13 points per game at the guard position. They need help in other categories. And then, another point we got to touch on is...
Okay. But you can't put the blame on Suggs entirely then, you know, because the Magic are the ones that drafted him, you know, and you're bringing up all these other guards that they already have on their roster, which I'm just going to take your word for it. I don't know their roster, but, like, that's on the Magic. That's not entirely on Jalen Suggs' part. That's not entirely on his end of the deal, you know? Like, if the Magic drafted him even though they have these other really good guards. So, I mean, you know, it's kind of to be expected that he's not going to average 20 points a game as a rookie, you know?
So, it's not like people don't want to go there because it's freezing and snowing all the time.
It is a nice place from what I've heard. Never been there.
But when you're talking about basketball standards, you don't see too many people wanting to go there. You actually see players wanting to get out of there. I'm not going to go as too far as you're saying Orlando is where basketball careers go to die, but I don't think they necessarily thrive either. Orlando's never going to be the worst team in the league, but they're never going to be one of the top 5 or 6. They're stuck in this rut where they got a lot of good players, but not a couple of great players.
Well, I mean, you never know. Anything can happen.
And it all goes back to Jalen.
Anything can happen.
I don't see him having a bad career for Orlando, and I think he could be an all-star as early as his 2nd or 3rd year. But what's going to hurt him early on in his career is he doesn't have the supporting cast, and we've seen it with freaking LeBron James. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you don't have other players that can hoop, you're not going to win the championship. You're just not. I think Suggs is going to thrive for Orlando, and I think he's going to shock a lot of people. But for his team basketball career, I don't think it's going to be good. He's going to have good individual stats
for his team. Okay, yeah, I see what you're getting at. I see what you're getting
at. How far
at.
you can go in the playoffs. Unless something changes for the Magic, I don't see Suggs carrying them to a playoff run anytime soon. Moving on,
I think he'll be a solid guard. I don't know.
Sensational player, Mr. Cade. I'm not going to sit up here and
he could be an all-star for sure. Suggs.
Not as identical and as bad as
Cade Cunningham could be. He could be something though.
Really good the past 10 to 12 years.
I mean, he's 6'8", and he can shoot it and handle the ball.
But nothing too crazy. But
again, reminds me of Paul George.
Have gone downhill very fast, which is similar to the Magic. They went 20-46 in 2019, and in the most recent year, they went 20-52. Speaking on Cade now, you got a better overall player than Suggs, and there's no question about it. He's slightly taller, a little more buff, and his game is polished, and there's no weaknesses. As special as Cade is he good enough to turn around this 20-52 team? Unlike Jalen Suggs, Cade doesn't have too much great guard play surrounding him. I'd say he's got roughly 2 to 3 reliable guards on the Pistons right now.
Who do the Pistons have?
Faces, unlike Jalen, is that the Pistons overall,
no Drummond, no Blake, no Reggie Jackson.
Better point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, and centers.
Gosh, I know Pistons fans are gonna be mad at me. I'm sorry,
There's a reason
I don't know who's on the Pistons, bro.
They're an overall bad team.
But he's a good player to build around, though. He's definitely a good player to build around.
He brings them up, and it also brings up his own game. But when he's not around other players, it's going to make his game look not as good. You know how it is. If you go to the gym or the park and your team's full of bums, it's going to limit your greatness. That's the same thing with Cade. at the same time, he is good enough to lift those others up and make them even better. I don't think he's on LeBron's category yet of lifting up a whole team, but he has the potential. He's proven he can pass.
He's a good player. He's a good player, bro. He's a very good player.
Well, it's not a question.
Let's not get it twisted.
The question about it is how much can he produce? Can he average 25 to maybe even 30 points per game, or is he only going to average 15?
I mean, we'll just have to wait and see, you know.
Almost everything for the team.
Excuse me.
He's going to need to average at least 22 points per game and 7 assists for them to even be somewhat good.
Did he say he has a rookie?
Capable enough to do that, but can he do it on a night in and night out basis? I think one of the best parts about Cade is that he's not going to be a bust. There's no way, and I put my life savings on it. The only bad thing I'll even say about him, and it's not even his fault, is that he's going into a very bad situation. You have one of the most talented
it's not his fault,
players I've ever seen, surrounded by
and like it's kind of to be expected, you know. It's to be expected. The best players normally get drafted by the worst teams because that's just how the odds of the lottery are.
He's going to have that much pressure, and he's going to get a lot of help from his supporting cast. But for Cade, the reason he's in big trouble is I don't think he's going to get any help at all. I really don't, and he's going to be very frustrated if he's going out there putting up 30 points and 10 assists, and they're losing games. The bright side about Cunningham is that you never know if he's happy, mad, or sad. He's calm, cool, and collective, and nothing really gets to him. You have to remember this. Cade's been a winner and a part of a winning team his entire life. When he played for Montverde Academy in Florida,
which also gives another reason for the Pistons to want to draft him, you know, because they want to build a winning culture, I'm sure, you know, so they want a guy who knows how to win and who's done a lot of winning throughout his career so far, you know.
Slightly better situation. The great part about this is that we get to see how all these top-tier players respond to pressure and adversity. Let me know what you think about all this down below in the comment section. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned.
Hey, man. This was an interesting video. Interesting takes on the two selections made by these two teams. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.